Evening all, I'm Emma Island and I'm going to be performing today for Punk for the Homeless's Girls Are Loud gig, which is happening all this weekend, and it's in aid of the Hope Girls Orphanage in Sierra Leone. Really happy to have been asked. I love Punk for the Homeless, they do so much good work in Nottingham and beyond, and now also on the internet. So let's get started. First poem I'm going to do today is called Nationalize Everything. We're in a time of a lot of change. We don't know what the world is going to look like in months or years from now. So, taking advantage of that, here's one of my suggestions. Nationalize everything. Seize the fucking lot. The buses, the trains, the post offices, but there's no need to stop there. Nationalise Dyson, Hoovers for all we can liberate the dust from our nationalised halls. And get McVitie's under state control with their 10 fucking Jaffa cakes for the price of 12. And Weatherspoons will be a workers' collective. Sticky carpets, cheap beer, so utterly reflective of the heart and the soul of this very nation. And on Tuesday we'll seize the television stations. No more Question Time, no BBC, but there's no need to abolish reality TV. We can bring back Jeremy Kyle, lie detectors all round for those who run this country into the ground. Sold off the hospitals, the gas board, the trains, and to keep it exciting, let's wire them up to the mains. Now, Boris, you said unemployment was down, and no 0 hours contracts definitely don't count. This card says you were lying. Graham, throw the switch. 2,000 volts and now he's starting to twitch. And beware if you're considered a national treasure, because you'll be up on a plinth to be perused at our leisure. Judi Dench and Barbara Windsor will be crossing swords in the live action show down at Madame Tussauds with Sir David Attenborough as referee. Come one, come all, there's no entrance fee, and welcome to the UK where public transport's now free. It's easy when you don't have to pay off the vultures, you see, and saddle up Richard Branson so we can all have a ride. I'm sorry, I don't mean to trivialise. I just feel very strongly that the fruits of our labour should be ours for the taking, Mr. Major. And I know you haven't seen Power in a very long time. I'm just not very good with poems that rhyme, so just nationalise everything. Seize the fucking lot before I'm dead, you massive bunch of bastards. Okay, I am quite political, as anybody who's ever seen me perform will already know. But I'm not just going to do political stuff today. I am going to do a couple of personal poems as well. This first one is the first thing I ever performed when I started doing spoken word. And it's called I'm not sure it's called Words. I don't give my poems titles all the time, and I'd completely forgotten if that even happened. It's called Words. Okay. It is an unbeautiful truth that it was the words, not the sticks or the stones, that broke these bones. For I've been punched in the face and kicked in the stomach. I've had my fingers wrenched back and my throat crumpled up tight in a lover's fist. I've been dragged down the stairs by my hair, and how many times have I thought to myself that they would have had nothing to catch me with if only I'd shorn it off all those years ago. And this is what it means to be a woman. These are the things nobody ever tells you. That the length of your hair should be directly proportional to the simmering level of violence in the man most likely to tear it from your scalp. I know what it is to be afraid to go home, to eke out each step from your desk to the bus, to the gate that drags and sheds its splinters on the concrete path, as though it too is telling you, do not step through that door. But there's nowhere else to go. I know what it is to lie awake in bed at night, listening for the sound of his key in the door, scratching, scraping, searching, your heart sinking because you hope that just for tonight he wouldn't come home stinking of the contents of the empty bottles he used to hide in the laundry basket. I know what it is to feel the shit turn to liquid inside your bowels as you hear him thundering up the stairs while you cower in the dark next to the toilet and Oscar. There is not a woman like me alive who doesn't understand why she was shot facing a locked bathroom door. Because once you understand that the danger is inside your home, you learn fast that the bathroom is the only room in the house with a lock on it. Except sometimes there is a baby sleeping on your bed where you left her, not knowing that the evening would turn out this way because you get fooled into thinking you can predict his moods and control his temper, but you can't. And you know that's where he's headed first. The bedroom, where the baby is. And so you get to your feet, legs like jackhammers, vibrations so intense you're sure he must be able to feel them through the floor, and you pull back the bolt, turn on the light, and stand there shaking in silhouette so that he will come for you first. I know what it is to think today is the day he will finally kill me. I know. And yet still, it is the words. It is the silences. What is said and not said, and the terrible weight of all the things I no longer remember that still keep me awake at night. The bruises have faded, but the memories of petty insults are as vivid as if they were hurled only yesterday. Bitch. Slut. You fucking fat, ugly, square-jawed, empty-headed moron. Who the fuck but me would want you? Casual cerebral violence, committed by people so wrapped up in their own pain, they can't bear that you can't feel it too. I am bleeding, they say, and I'm gonna cut you so that I don't have to bleed alone. Force-feeding you compassion, jamming empathy down your throat with great fists of rage until you vomit it all back up in a huge great lake of pain and suffering, as though they can drown their own in yours, as though two broken people could ever be whole, because it only ever means as much as it hurts. Every invisible scar, every unseeable blow, every silent abandonment, measuring love in pain, commitment in self-esteem, intention in suffering, until you start crossing the road with your eyes closed. So don't you ever tell me that words can never hurt me. Bit dark. Not all my stuff is like that. And it happened a very long time ago. So I've performed this in the past, and now people come up to me afterwards and ask if I need help. So this isn't something that's happening to me at the moment. So, don't call anybody. The next one I'm going to do is about an ex of mine, and it's actually really about that situation where you are in a relationship or a friendship, you know somebody, and then they do something that completely changes how you see them. And from that moment on, whenever you look back, you think, was that the person I knew before they did whatever they did, or were they always this person? So it's called Goodman. Driving in your car. My feet on the dashboard, your music on the stereo, but I didn't mind. Most of the time, I was just happy to be there, by your side. For whatever adventure we were heading to next, my world was a small place. Before we met, work and home and work, until you said, come and live with me. It'll be beautiful. You'll see. And sometimes it was. Back when you were still a good man. Pine needles that fell like carpets beneath our feet, on pitted roads that always led to the beach. July Sundays cycling out to the pool with frozen water to keep us cool. Sunbathing in the shade because it was too hot, always too hot. Skin sticky with factor 10. I pretended to sleep while you laughed with your friends and watched as you climbed the ladder to the diving board. Well, I could barely work up the courage for the slide, because you were braver than me back then. Bold and courageous and unflinching and still a good man. Lunches and dinners that went on forever. I remember you best. Hunched over the cooker telling me you can set the table, like I was doing you a favour. Shaking at crumpled tablecloths because no, I didn't iron either. Squeezing people in elbow to elbow, there's always room for one more. Loosen your belts and leave your shoes by the door. If we run out of chairs, we can sit on the floor. And I used to tell my grandmother that I was going to marry a chef. Back when you were still a good man. Packed piazzas. 2-bit bands playing 3-bit songs and everybody singing along, and we raised our glasses and blended in. Ditched the bill in the bin and snuck away from expensive restaurants. Fear beating body rich drums on my heart as I whispered, they'll catch us. They will, they'll catch us. But you just laugh and tell me, hey, don't worry, we'll all be dead one day. 'Cause back then you were a thief, no doubt, but you were still a good man. Taking me to the doctor off the Las Vegas Strip. And I know it's not how you envisaged that trip, but if you were irritated that I was fucking things up for everybody else, then you didn't let it show. Just took my hand and said, let's go. To the doctor off the Las Vegas Strip. 'Cause I hadn't left the hotel room in 3 days by then. Holed up, knees up, rocking back and forth, numbing my brain with repeats of Frasier and Seinfeld, and curbed my fucking enthusiasm. God, I hated America. But you got me home safe. When home was a place I thought I'd never see again, because back then you were still a good man. I think. Because the truth of it is that I don't remember when. You stopped being able to look me in the eye, started telling me lies, and definitely not the beautiful kind. There are things you can forgive, and things you can forget. But some things you cannot even bring yourself to remember. And so I took back your key, and you took a fifth of my life from me, because now there is nothing where it all used to be. Just a void that I can never fill. 7 years. 7 years, 3 months and 22 days of memories I can no longer touch because they bleed too much. Stain my fingers and lips and whisper to me, was this when he was still a good man? Was this when he was still a good man? Was this when he was still a good man? Was he ever a good man? The one I'm going to finish with is Love Letter to the NHS. I'm sure some of you have heard it before, but the times that we're living in at the moment, the people working in the NHS are under even more stress and pressure than they are generally, which is a lot generally. Let's not forget that when this is all over. These people don't just need you to stand outside and clap. They need to be funded properly, treated properly and respected. So let's not let that fall by the wayside when all this is done. So yeah, this is Love Letter to the NHS. To the doctors, the nurses, the porters, the cleaners, the old folk who volunteer at hospital junctions to make sure you know where you need to be. To the lady who says, hey, I have something special for you. To my husband who's on a restricted diet in bed 4, before handing him a plastic tub of liquidised banana risotto with chocolate cake. And I take a picture. Get it put on a key ring for March 15th, which is on Valentine's Day for anybody except us. Probably. To the midwives. The one who tells me it's too soon for an epidural, and then the one who 3 hours after tells me sorry it's too late, but holds my hand as I push out every vile and nasty word I know. To the medical student, standing looking terrified behind her, trying to make small talk in between contractions. Yes, I am from round here. No, I don't come here often. To the surgeon, who addresses you as though he's known you all your life instead of 30 seconds, leaning across the bed rails with no concept of personal space, but then I guess if you're about to rearrange a person's insides, you get to waive the formalities, and I think, this man will know what parts of me I've never even seen myself look like. To the newspaper trolley guy, squeaking up and down the ward, who tells us, I knew you weren't going to buy anything, because I never saw a man with a pretty girl at his bedside yet who bought a magazine. To the receptionist on the surgical assessment unit, answering phones with one hand while trying to find beds for the trolleys piling up by her desk, but who still ekes out the time to tell me where the toilets are. To the nurses, who do all the things that most of us never could, and who do them with kindness and humour, cleaning up piss and shit and vomit daily, and who get food bank vouchers in return. To the junior doctors, the one who walked into the sea and never came back, the one with bags where his laughter lines should be, the one who's seen far too much too often to ever have junior anywhere in her job description, telling my husband she is sorry that he's in pain. Sorry that it took a while to get the morphine. Sorry he's had to wait so long. Sorry I'll have to wait a while longer, but the specialist is tied up with somebody else at the moment. Can she get us anything in the meantime? Tea, coffee, water? And I want to tell her, to tell all of them, all of those who show up for work each day. And even on the days they don't, on the days it's too hard, too much, when it is stay home or break down, to those who work to keep us safe, to keep us alive, I want to say this. Don't be sorry. That I am the one who is sorry. Sorry that you have to make apologies to hurt and angry people for things that are not your fault. Sorry that the vultures responsible for this mess are busy trying to turn against you all of those for whom you give your lives. When you are dog-tired, when you are drained, when you are empty and when you are filled with despair. I'm sorry that you're not and never could be paid your worth because your worth cannot be measured in money alone, but I'm sorry that they don't even try to do that. I'm sorry there are times that your families get the worst of you because you exhausted the best on us, even when we don't deserve it, even when we don't appreciate it, even though we can never know how much it's cost you. I am so sorry. But you are not alone. We do not all believe the lies peddled to us by those who stand to gain from your suffering. There are those of us who see and will not stop seeing, who know and will not stop knowing, will not stop fighting. Nye Bevan's children, every one of us. But maybe Harry Keene said it best, that they might try to hold it underwater until the bubbles stop rising, but the bubbles will never stop rising. We will never stop rising. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of the Punk for the Homeless weekend.